Welcome back. This is John Locke, and today I'm answering a question about a warning that you will see sometimes in Google Search Console about a soft 404. Now, regular 404s, those are a page not found, or if you type in a web address and the page isn't there, that's a regular 404. But there is a little bit of confusion about what a soft 404 is. I even had to look this up recently myself, but I just wanted to go over what Google says about soft 404s so that there's a little bit more clarification about it. So, soft 404 errors, according to the Google support site, is a URL that returns a page telling the user that the page does not exist like a regular 404, but it also has a 200 level success code. Now, normally, there's different codes that come back when you go to fetch a page. This is kind of technical talk, but HTTP protocols are when you get a 200 code, that means that the page has been found. So a soft 404, basically what they're saying is it's a URL that says the page does not exist, but it also returns this 200 level success code, meaning they found the URL, they found the web address, but it's saying that the page does not exist. Now, why would it do this? In some cases, it says it might be a page with little to no content. For example, a sparsely populated or empty page. So if you have a web address and there's almost no content on that page, or there is no content on that page, this would be considered a soft 404. Now we can see it with our eyes. We can look at the page and see that the web page is returning, right? But the way that Googlebot crawls and renders these pages, this comes back as a soft 404, meaning technically the page is there, but the way that Googlebot is parsing it, it's essentially saying that the page doesn't exist, even though you might be able to navigate to it. So why does it matter? Returning a success code rather than 404, which is not found, or 410, which is gone, the page is gone, or 301, a 301 redirect, meaning it's been moved to a new web address, a new URL, is a bad practice. So returning a success code other than 404, 410, or 301 is a bad practice. The success code tells search engines that there's a real page at that URL. As a result, the page may be listed in search results, and search engines will still continue to try and crawl that non-existent URL instead of spending time crawling your real pages. Okay, so some things that might trigger this too is if you have if it has some kind of URL that has like parameters, but maybe for example, like filter parameters that like you're filtering results and for some reason it gets indexed, but let's say that it doesn't return anything within those results. Say if it's an e-commerce page and you're filtering by some type of criteria, but nothing comes back. That could be an example of a soft 404 as well. What should you do? Now, if your page is no longer available and it's a real 404 and it has no clear replacement, it should return 404, which means page not found, or 410, which means it's gone. And each one of these codes clearly tells the browsers and the search engines that the page does not exist. Now, you can also display a custom 404 page to the user if appropriate. For example, a page containing a list of your most popular pages or a link to your homepage. Now, this is something that I usually do when I build websites. Is the 404 page will say something like, hey, couldn't find that page. Here's a search box, so it'll let you type in something else and you can search, and it'll give you search results, but also here's like a list of all the pages on the site. Usually I'll have basically a replication of the sitemap and a search box, so if you happen to hit a 404, you can still find what you're looking for. Now, some people do really clever 404 pages, and and they might have like animated GIFs. They might have some visual, amusing things, some kind of humorous thing. There's examples of that. Okay, that would be an example of a custom 404 page. Now, if your page is moved or has a clear replacement, return a 301 permanent redirect to redirect the user as appropriate. So if you change the web address of a page, or if you delete a page and it has a clear replacement, you should implement that 301 redirect, meaning if somebody types in that old address, clicks on a link with that old web address, or if they see it in search results, they click on it in any sort of way, or if there's links, obviously, to that old web address, you still want it going to the new web address that you replaced it with. That's just a best practice, okay? So if you think that your page is incorrectly flagged as a soft 404, you can use the URL inspection tool to examine the rendered content and the returned HTTP code. And if the rendered page is blank or nearly blank, it could be that your page references many resources that can't be loaded, such as images, scripts, or other non-textual elements. So there might be things that are not loading on that page. And that might be the reason why it's returning a soft 404. So it's also saying that if there's elements that are in your page that are broken and the page isn't rendering and there's no content appearing because maybe it's JavaScript front end rendered, client side rendered JavaScript, maybe that page is blank for that reason, and that's a soft 404. Maybe the images on your site are being loaded by a remote content delivery network, and maybe that's broken, or whatever. Maybe you let your subscription to that expire, and you could be getting a soft 404 that way. So reasons that resources can't be loaded include blocked resources, so being blocked by robots.txt, or having too many resources on a page, or slow loading very large resources. So these are things that can actually result in you seeing that message in your Google Search Console that, hey, you had a soft 404 because the page didn't load correctly, or there's things that didn't load because maybe you have, instead of the usual 50 to 120 resources loading that combine to make up that web page, maybe you have like thousands of resources. Very unlikely, not very common, but could happen, I guess. The URL inspection tool should list which resources cannot be loaded and also show you the rendered live page. So if you go into Google Search Console, the URL inspection tool, I think it's like right at the top left. Or I think it's not even at the top left. It's like the top center. It's like right at the top. So you can say, choose the site that you have the problem with, and then load, copy that URL, copy that web address, put it in there and inspect it, and Googlebot will go and attempt to crawl it. And it will show you what it's seeing. And then it'll say, if it's not indexed, it'll say either this is indexed, it's in our index, or if it's not, do you want us to put it in the index, so that it has a possibility of showing up in Google search results. Okay, so if the URL inspection tool in Google Search Console comes back and you have a page that renders, then that means that it's maybe not a soft 404, but maybe it just needed to recrawl it because there is some other problem. So that's the thing to remember. A soft 404 is not the same as a real hard 404, where it's absolutely no page there. You type in the web address and there's nothing there. It could be a variety of things. It could be that there's almost no content on the page. It could be very little content on the page. Could be something like a page with parameters or filters, and it returns almost no content. So it could be something like that, and it got in the index. Or it could be a case where you either have too many resources or something is not rendering correctly when the browser goes to load that page, and so the page basically looks blank, even though you can go to that web address and it doesn't say page not found, it's still essentially either a non-functioning or a blank or an almost blank page. Those are the reasons for a soft 404. So if you get an email from Google Search Console that says, hey, you have a soft 404, or if you see a message like that in Google Search Console, that is the reason. And again, something you should take care of for user experience, but not the same as having a regular 404. Hope that explains. My name is John Locke. My business is Lockdown Design and SEO, and I'm here every single day making videos on SEO. Hope you all are having a great day. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. I'll be here tomorrow. Until next time, peace.